Hi, greetings everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jamie's Journeys. And today, I tell you, we're coming from my kind of place. We are in the Straits of Magellan, sailing down at what they call the ends of the earth here in South America. And I have with me an anthropologist, storyteller, and just a wonderful lecturer and expert on South America, among other places in the world. And this is Breen. Terry, thanks for joining me.
Well, I'm so happy that you're enjoying yourself here.
This is so good.
It's perfect, and we have wonderful conditions to enjoy all the great scenery and the wildlife.
Yeah. So today we're sailing a special part of the Strait of Magellan, right?
That's right. We're actually coming down around Tierra del Fuego, and we are making our way into the Beagle Channel. And this is an area that is known for not only the history, the HMS Beagle, but also for the wonderful glaciers. And a lot of people don't realize there is a portion of the beginning of the channel where we've got tidewater glaciers that are coming down from the Darwin mountain range.
Now they call that stretch actually the Avenue of Glaciers.
Right,
Yeah.
because there's about 5 glaciers that are coming off this ice field, and one is still even a tidewater glacier. And then over to the south, there's a few patches of glacial ice as well, but really the sight to see is over on to the north of as we're making our way down the channel. So one way or the other, to the north.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Tierra del Fuego. Now what does that mean? What's that translated?
It means land of fire.
Land of fire, okay.
Yeah, in 1520, when Magellan who discovered the Strait of Magellan, was making his way down. It took about 2 months for him to make his way all the way down. He noticed that on the land, which he didn't know how far the land went, he kind of thought that maybe it would have been what was called Tierra Incognita, the hidden land that many people thought might have been like Antarctica. And he saw that there were all of these fires along the beaches. And so he named it the Land of Fire, but now we know that they were some of the native peoples, their encampments. They always kept a fire burning because it can get cold here.
Yeah, I would say so. And we, of course, come in the middle of their summer.
That's right. This is summertime.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy when you see some of the old photographs of the people that were living here, that they didn't have a lot of skins and other pelts to be using for clothing, and they didn't do a lot of weaving because they didn't have any animals to be used for wool, and so they used to grease up their bodies and that was it.
Yeah, really?
Just layers of grease to keep them protected from the elements.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Now, so we're going to start our sail through our passage here in a little bit, but we have been in the, I don't know if it's in the fjords,
yeah,
but this is the strait. We've been into other parts of the strait, but this is a very special part, right?
This is, but when you look at Chile, which is 2,700 miles long, about midway all down, we have the same types of glacially carved valleys that have all been flooded in, along with these very deep, narrow waterways. There's lots of islands, and it's really the inside passage of Chile that's very similar to the inside passage up in Alaska. And so in that area, there's lots of glaciers as well. So there's not just one spot where we see glaciers. We actually see them a little bit south of Puerto Montt, and then we see them in a couple of other spots in the southern portion of the fjords.
So itineraries may change from time to time, but we have seen some wonderful glaciers, starting out with the Laguna San Rafael.
Right, and that one's coming off of an ice field that is part of the San Valentin Glacier, and that's at the base of a very, very tall mountain. It's up almost 12,000 feet, and that glacier is a tidewater glacier. But where it drains into the sea, it's too narrow for a large ship to go through, and so you have to use a local catamaran to make your way into the lagoon. And when you do, because the waterway is so narrow, all the big icebergs that get trapped there, you get to navigate around, and it's very dramatic. And that glacier is very active. It does a lot of calving, so there's a lot to see besides just the magnificence of the glacier. There's all those bergs and all the activity.
And then there's another day when we sailed the fjords that we saw quite a few glaciers there too.
There's actually some very big ones that you need more time to go up and visit, but there's some others that are accessible, and there's one that is called Tempano's Glacier, and that one is really steely blue in color and very, very dramatic. And then there are a few others that are a little bit more to the south, one called Brujo, another one called Skua, like the bird. They're just a handful of many that can be seen. So depending upon timings and weather conditions, we can be slipping into several different fjords to see more glaciers.
All right, so I see we have some nice sights approaching, so we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna come back because we're gonna finish our afternoon doing something else truly great.
Oh, yes indeed.
Yep, so we're gonna be sailing around the Cape. We'll tell you about that in a little bit. Enjoy the views. Terry, thank you.
Thank you.
This day, and not only do we see the beauty and the glaciers and the mountains and just sailing this strait, but also we've seen some wildlife, right?
Wildlife. Yeah. We've actually seen quite a lot just in the last few minutes. We saw some penguins, some Magellanic penguins, and we saw some steamer ducks, the ducks that seem to, they're called steamers because they don't fly, they just kind of run along the surface of the water.
Those brown ones?
Yeah, they look like little steamboats, that's where they got their name. And we saw some whales. We saw a cow and a calf, and you could tell the difference by when they came up to the surface, the amount of exhalation. One was a lot bigger than the other, so you know the other one was a baby. Probably something like a minke, which is a baleen whale.
And then a skua bird, or?
Skuas are kind of the bad guys of the pelagic bird.
The bullies in the neighborhood,
well,
are they?
Yeah, do you remember in the movie, the March of the Penguins and Happy Feet, when you always see that big shadow that comes over the bird that would go and pick up all the chicks or kind of terrorize? That's a skua.
That's the one, okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, I see we're turning a little bit, and there's actually a town behind us.
Yeah, that's actually
pretty good sized town.
That's over on the Chilean side of the Beagle Channel. And so over on the other side is the Argentine side. And not too far away is the city of Ushuaia. And Ushuaia is actually a little to the north, and it's the southernmost city in the world. And there's always been this rivalry between Chile and Argentina. And on the mainland of South America, on the Chilean side, Punta Arenas is the southernmost city in the continent of South America. But Ushuaia is on the island of Tierra del Fuego, and it's even more to the south. And so it has the claim to fame of being the southernmost city in the world. But this little town, Chile actually had a program for a while where they were trying to have incentives to encourage people to come down here to boost up the population so that it would be able to jump from being a town to a city, and then it would be able to take the title away from Ushuaia as being the southernmost city in the world.
Well,
so that's Puerto Williams.
Yeah, okay, Puerto Williams. Ushuaia is the one you always hear about.
That's right.
But they want to be the ones, I guess.
Yes.
Ushuaia, I like the name a little better, though.
It's more exotic,
Yeah.
Puerto Williams.
All right, very nice. All right, we're now down the coast from Ushuaia that we passed, and right along here there's an interesting little story. Yeah?
Well, actually, that's Tierra del Fuego, and it kind of jogs down to the south, and there is one lone road that goes from Ushuaia all the way out here, and you can see that every once in a while there's a little house that's along that road.
Yes.
Well, at the very, very end, there is an estancia, and there's a lady that has been living out there for a good 30, 40 years, and she has a small farm, and she's made famous by the little book that she wrote on living in Tierra del Fuego. And she's got recipes for how to use some of the local herbs and berries and other things that she's identified, and it's a real charming book, and you can actually go out there and visit her.
Yeah.
By appointment. It takes a long time to get down there, so you want to make sure she's home.
Yeah, it's not exactly a paved highway back there, is it? It's just a dirt road,
Yeah, it's
gravel road?
about 4 hours to drive all the way out
4
there.
hours, yeah.
Yeah, people do it.
Yeah, that would be worth it.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty. There's a sailboat out there too.
Yeah. Well, we have made it around to Cape Horn, and I tell you, it's a little change in the weather. Is that normal?
Well, it's very volatile here, and one thing that I think is interesting about their statistics is that they have a constant wind of 20 miles per hour all the time. And then on top of that, the average is 62 mile an hour gusts. And then on top of that, so it changes quickly.
Wow. And so this is really then where the two oceans come together, right?
Right. So it's not just the two oceans, it's the three oceans, because it's the Antarctic as well.
Right.
And so the Great Southern Ocean, as they're calling it, meets the Atlantic and the Pacific, and it can be just like a big washing machine down there.
Yeah.
And was got a little hint of that today.
Yeah. So the seas weren't bad, but the temperature dropped. There was fog out of the breath, and completely different than what we had earlier in the day when we were going through the Strait of Magellan.
And also crossing the Drake Passage. Sometimes that can be really rocky, and we had Drake's Lake, as they say.
Yeah.
Didn't even know that we were out there. So very, very lucky, but it does change quickly.
Yeah. Now, tell us what is at the very tip of the peninsula, at Land's End, so to speak.
Well, this is actually the peninsula being the island of Horn.
Yeah.
Well, the island of Horn is kind of rectangular, and at the very end is a promontory that is 1,300 feet tall, and it kind of looks like the Rock of Gibraltar. It sort of looks like the Prudential Insurance logo, and it is, technically they call that the Cape of Horn, because the island is called Horn after the town of Horn in the Netherlands, and it's also was one of the ships that was launched for the expedition that came down to find this all-sea route that was going to be an alternative to going through the Strait of Magellan. So, yeah, it was named, it has nothing to do with the way that that mountain looks. It was the town in Holland.
And so then there's a building and also a monument.
Well, it's actually a home that's there. So there is a house, a chapel, a meteorological station, a lighthouse, and the Albatross Monument. And the house is inhabited by the lighthouse keeper, and so it's a manned light, and he is a member of the Chilean Navy. And it used to be that they had 2 lighthouse keepers, 2 men that would be stationed there, and they would alternate them every few months. But they decided that that was a little bit expensive, and so it might be easier to keep 1 man there for longer if they were there with their families. And so now the lighthouse keeper, we actually phoned them. The lighthouse keeper is there with his wife, and they have 2 children, 9 years old and 7 years old, both girls, and they just started their 1-year contract.
Did
Can
they
you imagine
really?
that, 1 year to be out there?
No neighbors.
I'm sure it's quiet.
Yeah. Now, so there's a chapel too. Who goes to chapel there? Or is it for the lighthouse people?
It's actually a chapel for the visitors that come to. This is actually part of the Cape Horn National Park, and so visitors come, and it's a way of paying respects to all of the people that lost their lives going around the Horn, because there were plenty of, they estimate maybe 10,000 people that died in accidents related to how difficult it is to navigate here. So lots of ships that went down.
Yeah. So to get there, you do a wet landing in like a Zodiac?
Yeah, there's actually a big kelp bed that's right at the bottom of this little cove, and a flight of stairs that goes straight up. And just notice that there's a brand new little shed up there, so that you can either have to sit up there and wait if your Zodiac isn't ready, and then you can go and explore the monument and the chapel. And sometimes if the lighthouse keeper is available, they'll take you around and show you what's going on as well.
If the lighthouse keeper doesn't have anything else to do, he probably looks forward to visitors after a few months.
I'm sure they probably do, but they also, that meteorological station is very important for not just the Chilean Navy, but also for providing information for all of the ships that are navigating in this area. So he's pretty vigilant with getting that information out.
Yeah. And then lastly, the monument.
The Albatross Monument is again dedicated to the 10,000 souls that were lost on Cape Horn, and it is symbolic because many people think that the albatross is an incarnation of the lost soul, or of the soul of a mariner who was lost at sea. And so the monument is a stainless steel. It looks like a diamond, and in the center it is a albatross that is in flight, and so it's a cutout, and it's very beautiful. And there is a poem that was written by a Chilean poet that is dedicated to all those mariners and for the monument, and that was erected in 1992.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was a beautiful and also a thrilling day. And Terry, thank you for your commentary,
My pleasure.
explanation, and to all of you, thanks for joining me on another Jamie's Journey. Glad you came along, and I hope you come travel with me again. Thank you.